Well, good afternoon, everyone, once again. Welcome to the 2026 McBride Prophetic Preaching Series on the theme, Prophetic Preaching in a Fractured World. Today, we've heard three wonderful lectures and conversations, and this is a wrap-up conversation. This is an opportunity for us to engage our distinguished lecturers and conversational partners, and also to raise any other questions that we may have. First, I'd like to begin by allowing each of our guests, was there something that really sparked your mind or imagination from the other lectures and conversations today?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Thank you both for your presentations. I want to highlight from Carolyn's presentation a quote from the pastor. Well, the whole interview caught my attention. Well, the whole presentation, but I'm going to highlight just the one quote because of time, because I want you to speak to. So it really caught my attention when he said that he's doing the work out of love and not out of hate for the oppressed. So I'm going to take those words with me and kind of take it as a mantra. And I found a resonance between that and something you said. I mean, your whole speech was about love and how the work is coming from love. So I think there was a resonance of that. I was looking for points of connection. So that caught my attention, and I'm taking that with me. And the other thing that I want to highlight is from the point that I want to highlight from yours is that, and I think I tried to say that, but I said it with different words, that we need to do the work together. That each one of us do like a tiny part of the work. You said it at the beginning very explicitly that you have been doing this series for so many years. And I didn't say anything, but when I was preparing it, I was like, they have heard about prophetic preaching every year. What new can I bring, you know? Mm-hmm. But it is true that each one of us brings something different to the table, even just today, the three of us. Mm-hmm. And you said it very explicitly, and I loved when you said we should be able to go for the thing that we are most passionate about. And that's the part that I really tried to focus on when I was talking about, I don't try to make people become what they are not. I try to help them become better them. And I try to help them identify the gifts God gave them, because I think that's why God gave us gifts different to everybody, so we can become a community that helps one another. Mm. And I love the other quote of, if we don't talk to one another, we can't show up for one another. So if we talk to one another and find out what are each other's gifts and what are each other's areas of working in, then we can show up for one another and we can interlock our strengths to dismantle the interlocking systems of oppression.
Yeah, thank you. I want to say thank you to our presenters as well as both of our hosts. You have asked such great questions, and our conversation has been really rich. Dr. Valle-Ruiz, I want to say thank you for the artivism and the mentioning of art as a therapy, because the work of prophetic preaching, it does a number on your whole body. And without attending to that, it can be very depleting. So finding ways to fill us, and even if we don't consider ourselves artists, doing things that help us recreate, that recreation, to be able to really find that healing. So thank you for that reminder. I'm going to bring that into my classroom more. And Paul, I really appreciate the image of we think we've been doing this for the first time, but there's been people doing this for a long time, and that's such an important reminder about the legacy. Particularly for white people or people that are in other positions of dominance, you feel like, well, who am I to say this or that? Or, I'm the first to be speaking out. But no, there's a whole legacy of people who have been in positions of dominance, who have had different aspects of the dominant normative identity, who have spoken truth to power. And so being able to identify with that legacy is an inspiration. And to say that Christians also, there's a lot of different ways of being a Christian. And being able to articulate that in a way that helps folks feel like, I may be on the edge here, but no, I'm actually part of a long stream of people who have been trying to work for a more just society. So I really appreciate both of you for your lectures today.
I really, I feel like this has been so good for my soul because I'm not in these spaces as much anymore. To recognize the value of theological education, and almost, I won't say it's a luxury because it's really it's hard work, but to be able to listen to you both. I haven't heard presentations like that. Just my life doesn't lend itself to that right now, and so I've just felt so excited, but also I saw a different way of understanding my own work and what gives me joy and sustenance. And I think that I just love that you included those inflatable, I know that's not the point of what you were talking about, but it's just let's claim that's powerful, powerful stuff. And it's claiming joy, claiming frivolity and almost and the ridicule and showing authoritarians for what they are, which is silly. And I just felt like that the artivism and the blend of theological and art is so much where I come from in my own how I got here, that I in some ways don't get to access very much. So it's really nice to kind of feel that validated. And you see that out in the world where people are just choosing to have fun, even in the face of all that is happening, and to choosing joy and choosing music and all of that. And so I love that. And that felt, not only reflected in the way, in the substance, but in the way you presented it, which is a gutsy thing to do, to have a conversation with someone who's not standing there. But it was so cool. And it was so I was I'm down with this group of this dinner party. And ending just with the Black Earth, and again going to what will not only inspire us but sustain us. And I think that feels like something that I didn't really touch on in mine, but I think is as important as anything we can talk about, is how do we sustain ourselves and live beautifully, richly now? And so I just appreciated how both of you brought that in to this conversation of what it means to prophetically preach, which is often just, instrumentalized towards ends of justice rather than an actual, opportunity now to experience joy. So thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Lise, and thank you, Carolyn. Melva, we've had a wonderful program. Your curation was masterful. We began with a big question: what breaks God's heart? We were invited to dinner, and the table was set, and we were invited to listen in on a conversation. And then Paul reminded us with the poignant question and the always pertinent question: what is the good news? What's your reflection on this day of prophetic preaching in a fractured world and all that we've heard and experienced?
that there indeed is good news. But kind of like Good Friday, how we think it's important to sometimes interrogate what we mean by good. All of the conversations and presentations have been provocative in ways that bring what normative society says is good or says isn't good, brings that from the margin to the center. From, Carolyn, to what Lisa and I both identified you doing was really decentering your voice. So it wasn't only that having a dinner party was creative, because sometimes creativity could fall into that contextual. It could be that's so fun. And suggesting that it lacks a critical analysis, right? Mm-hmm. And so having this dinner table with these other voices in a way to provide and offer others to have space, right? As even yours was there to interpret, but in a way of decentering whatever privileges you may believe you hold, right? To invite us to engage in that way was chef's kiss, to use the analogy. So I'm deeply reflective. I'm deeply hopeful. I also feel very affirmed. I feel affirmed in this witness of embodiment, affirmed in the witness of the utility of bodies for love, for truth-telling, for joy. I'm also thinking about the work here of our colleague Dr. Lakeisha Lockhart, and her work around play. And if I'm honest, Lise, this is why what you're saying is helpful. I told her I struggle with play in certain ways because of what you've shared, right? Who has time to be playing and all that's going on in the world? And what bodies get to play? Excuse me, I'm sorry. If I come in here playing, then it's going to be suggested that I'm not serious, right? Or that I don't have anything serious to say, or that I'm not prepared, right? Play seems like a privilege in spaces, but through your conversation and what you offer us to really consider these interpretive lenses and really interrogate them. So I feel hopeful that the good news is good, and that good doesn't always mean the good. This is going to sound like a riddle, but the good news is good, and it's always right. I mean,
I know what I know.
Come on, Paul. That's it. That's it. I know that I know that I know that. You know what? Hold on. This is the preacher in me. You done hit the button now. Wait a minute.
Good.
Because, yes. Why? Because when I think of Ms. Mobley, who was the 90-something-year-old woman who sat in the second row of Second Baptist Church in Homestead, PA, who would begin to rock. Was it because she was engaging, because she used the term, apocalyptic, eschatological expectation? No. But her body knew. This kind of, I was talking to Dr. Torre last night that the hum is a site of epistemological privilege, that when the hum in some traditions without words, but just a moaning and a groaning creates the atmosphere for the good news to come forth and to take place. And so oftentimes there is no long sentence other than I know that I know. I know that I know. And that is where liberative power is, that is not always logo-centered and certainly not fallow logo-centered, but in the deep internal folds of our being that we know, and that's enough.
If I can just say
Please.
one word about that. saying that in the context of an effort to make you think you really don't know what you know. And we are seeing systematic efforts to erase what people know. And so, it is actually its own, like, one of the most powerful things we can say is don't tell me I don't see what I see.
Because I see what I see.
I see what I see, I know what I know, I feel what I feel. And you're trying to tell me that my feelings and my seeing and my knowing is not valid. And I actually think that is something that as preachers, as religious leaders, it's a powerful thing for us to affirm you're not crazy right now, because they're trying to make us feel like we're crazy.
That, and yes, all of that, and in addition to, as particularly since we have students here, that we are saying here, we are training, engaging to help students see that they are theologians, right? Already, that you have always been a theologian. One of our students, we were in class on Monday, and she said, I'm not a theologian. I said, take that back. Let me press against that. Because it's around language again. So that I know also gets to theological imagination. And it gets to when I think of Ruha Benjamin and others talking about how imagination is our way out. What you all provided for us today is really like a whiteboard for us to begin to scribble and to doodle and to make notes. Not necessarily a what is it called? Like a direction, a schematic, but here are our thoughts. And sometimes when we are presented with just a whiteboard, because of the way that we've been trained to think, we get nervous, we get uptight, we get like, just give me the directions, just tell me what to do already, right? Because we stray so far from that. And so when we're actually doing it, again, in that I know is a theological imagination that has such depth, the beauty to imagine, and to imagine from the space of a body that is contested terrain, to say that in this place, this is what I know to be sure. You can't make me doubt it. I know too much. Up alongside of a system that says you know nothing, that's prophetic.
Well, I want us to do one last thing together. We've talked about prophetic preaching, both in its hopeful dimensions and its deep analysis of the condition of the way things are, but also as a practice of community. As we continue practicing community, we have an adage here at Wake Forest University School of Divinity that community is a verb. And that what we attempt to do in these conversations is not conclude the conversation, but offer words where we can continue this practice of community. For our three guests, what would be your word not only to the community here, but to our broader world as we continue our journey together to build deep community?
Invite someone to dinner. Have them over to your house. Somebody who you may not agree with, who may not see eye to eye with you. These prophetic preaching moments happen in these conversations where we're able to offer hospitality. And Reverend Dr. Sampson reminded me of the connection between the dining table and the communion table, and how it is at the communion table where we experience the risen Lord in the breaking of the bread. And so finding ways to be in community with people is what I would suggest for all of us.
Pumoja tutashinde, together we win.
Trust the knowledge that is in your body when you don't have words. Just let the rest of you find a way. The wisdom is there.
Ministry of presence.
Yeah, the wisdom is there. Perhaps you don't need words. The wisdom is already there in your body.
I'll just say, if it feels hard to be at divinity school, it's because it is hard. My 3 years at Union Seminary were the hardest years of my life, and they were also absolutely the most important 3 years that I've had ever. They transformed me. And my teachers, you know, I got to learn. Dolores Williams was there, James Cone was there, Beverly Harrison was there. My teachers were incredible. It's funny, some of the old guys would be like, oh, I was there when Niebuhr was there, and Tillich. I was like, I don't care. You know, but I'm just saying, like, but it was so hard because I was challenged, and everyone was challenged. We were all like, but we were learning what it meant to, like a language, to speak with one another and appreciate, and you know, chapel, you know, all these things were so an opportunity to see the creativity and the language and the lived experience of someone very different from you in close proximity, but using the language of God and using the language of, you know, community. And so I just offer that, like, if it feels hard, it is hard, but it's such a beautiful opportunity and such a good preparation for living in this country, and being able to speak language that you might not have come in here with. And so I just, you know, for me, divinity school, I'm like, I worked at Princeton University for a long time with undergraduate and graduate students. Every student, no matter what they were studying, I was like, have you considered divinity school? Have you considered seminary? It'll be the best thing you could ever do. You know, and they're like, how did you know? How did you know?
Wow.
And so I think it's really like, you know, what you're doing here, what you guys are doing here, and what you do in your home is so incredibly valuable. And I just pray that big funders will recognize that, but also that students will understand the opportunities that are being afforded them and just relish it, because you are being prepared to do just about anything you want to do in the world.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answered your question, but it's what I felt called to.
Paul,
What you felt in your body.
I think that was a good point for us to conclude this session of the conversation, knowing that it will continue into the long future. So I want to thank you, Lise, Carolyn, of course, Melva. I want to thank our students. I want to thank Mallory and Chief for a wonderful conversation. And I want to thank all of you, for today was a truly special day. To have the 2026 McBrien Prophetic Speaker Series in this place, knowing that on October 11th, 1962, a prophet spoke from this place. None other than the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And from here, speaking to over 2,200 folks in this Waite Chapel, he challenged our university to live up to its motto, Pro Humanitate, challenged our nation to live up to the very first words that all people are created equal. And most importantly, he opened up the wide horizon of possibility for us to live in a true planetary beloved community. So from October 27th through today, April 16th, 2026, and into the long future, may we continue to revisit this theme of prophetic preaching, not only for this moment, but for all those moments to come. For we know that the kingdom of God is always but coming. Thank you all. We have a reception in the Northex. Please join us as we continue the conversation, and thank each one of you for a very special day.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.